Hey, what's up, guys? Back from the ROC. That is Right of Center podcast with Mike and Ryan. Today, recording from beautiful Southern Maryland, headquarters of the ROC. It's a dreary day outside. It's been raining. They called for a lot of snow, but as usual, the news got it wrong.
Always.
So this is episode number 1. You could call it episode 0. It's kind of an introduction to the episode, to what you guys could expect out of us and what we expect out of you. To be honest, this is a communication. This is a conversation between us and between you. And if we don't hear from you guys, then you're just going to be doing a lot of hearing from us. But let's introduce you to the host here. So I'm Mike Bell, middle-aged white guy, slightly overweight, father of 3. This is called Right of Center because myself and my co-host, we generally find ourselves to the right on the political aisle, and there is a little bit of a divide between him and I. I find myself leaning a little bit more to the left on some topics such as, legalizing marijuana or homosexuality in general and homosexual marriage and LGBTQ rights. I also find myself a little more on the left when it comes to social issues, such as the welfare state and other things like that. I wouldn't say I'm for a welfare state, but I understand its need in society. And I have categorized myself as a kind of a just right of center constitutionalist. I support the Constitution. I think that everybody should hold true to the fact that it is guaranteed to us the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And anytime that there is a social decision that needs to be made, I try to weigh it against those 3 tenets. And that's me. That's Mike Bell. Ryan, over to you, buddy.
Hey, guys. So Ryan Gass here. I am also right of center. I would self-describe as a libertarian with conservative tendencies, where I tend to drift away from libertarianism a little bit, I would say, is my views on abortion and my lack of support for gay marriage. Not that I'm against it per se, but I just, I'm just in the middle. I would say I'm center when it comes to that. I don't give a shit either way. It doesn't affect me. When it comes to abortion, that's where I drift from being a libertarian because I feel that it does hurt somebody. There is somebody hurt in there. So I don't think that is a right. I don't think that it is right. But other than that, honestly, largely, I would say I'm a libertarian with conservative tendencies.
And again, we're going to get into a lot of this stuff, right? We're going to get into abortions and abortion law, and we're going to get into homosexuality, and we're going to get into a lot of political conversations on this podcast series. But, at the end of the day, this isn't a political podcast, but we're going to be touching on political stuff. Mm-hmm. And what we're giving you guys is the view from the middle. And what that means is Ryan and I, we're middle-class American men. We both grew up loving God and country, both grew up, supporting everybody's right to pretty much be happy. Mm-hmm. And that's not the picture that the mainstream media is feeding people today. Mainstream media is feeding this story of division. It's feeding that everybody on the left wants to burn down courthouses and, section off parts of the country for themselves, such as what recently happened out in the Northwest. Everybody, mainstream media wants to paint people from the right as being these Trumpers, these deplorables, these people that are going to wreck the state house because one person told them to, as if we are all a bunch of blind occultists. And that's just not the truth. I mean, I've said it before, 80% of America is within 10% of the middle. So let's hear from those people. And that's who Ryan and I represent. And we hope that as this podcast series evolves and we begin to engage with you, the listener, more often, we're gonna really find out that America's not that far apart. And then we are a lot closer to each other, and this world really is pretty small. And a couple of country boys from Southern Maryland have a lot in common with a couple of country boys from the Pacific Northwest or from the Bay Area or from Phoenix or from Iowa. The world's pretty small. And so let's hear stories from the middle.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I think a lot of people on both sides can agree what I'm about to say. The politicians, both sides of the aisle, and the media of all sorts and backgrounds, they have been what has been so divisive. It's not the people. I've drinking beers with, gay people. I've gone out shooting with Democrats. Range sense. I don't give a shit. I don't care who you are. When people come to my classes, a little background, I do firearms training courses. And when you come to my class, I don't give a shit what race and what religion you are. I don't give a shit what party you are. Everyone's the same when it comes to my classes. Everyone's there to learn it and become safer, more effective with their firearms. And, they don't care about, and I don't care about what, news, place you look at, if you're on social media, if you're not, if you like Facebook, if you don't like Facebook. It's, this is going to be a lot of us talking about, things that a lot of people are already thinking, but from both sides of the aisle, honestly, to a certain extent. But obviously, the people that are going to be on the right, they're going to maybe more, be able to click and identify with the things that we're talking about. But this is a podcast for everybody, regardless of, your background.
Yeah. And I just, also a little background here, as Ryan mentioned, he's a firearms instructor. One thing we both have in common is that we're both fathers. We're both veterans of the armed services. And, whenever you're raising a child, it's all about love. And when you're in the military, although there are shitbags everywhere you go, it's about brotherhood. And that's what we want to bring out, is the love and the brotherhood that's in this United States. And I recently had a little experiment, Ryan, and I talk about this in another episode that I do for a different podcast. It was a thought experiment I did in social media. There was something, in fact, that you posted. And I kind of jumped into comments a little bit and had a little experiment with some of your audience. You have generally a lot of conservative people that follow your page. Yeah. And it's real simple for people to see something and immediately assume things, right? And they don't check their assumptions. So what I did was I said something controversial, and I said it from a position where I wasn't taking any stance or making any claim. I just posted something just to see what would happen. And the experiment was to see if people are really willing to hear from the other side. And what I found out is oftentimes no. But to speak to that experiment, there were 100 or so comments on that little thing I made. And of that, I probably made about 13 or 14 connections outside of that page with real people that wanted to have open conversation. And that's what I hope that this podcast, Right of Center, The ROC, I hope that that's what this podcast does. We're going to say some stuff that might be enlightening. And trust me, if you don't hear something you like on this podcast, send us a message. We would love to hear from you. We want to talk to you. We want to hear what you want to hear about, and we are open to discuss anything.
Doesn't mean we're going to agree.
That's true. And oftentimes we'll probably try to support any argument we have with facts. At least that's what I'm bringing to the table. I'm a scientist by trade. I deal with math and numbers and stuff like that. So I try to bring any argument that I'm going to bring up on this episode, on this show, will be one that's supported by facts. And I think that that's where, Ryan, where you and I are a little bit different. I'm not saying that you don't read the facts or the arguments that you make aren't factually based. What I think is that you have an intuition about things, and you oftentimes tend to follow your gut a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And you could smell when something doesn't smell right. Where me, even though it stinks, I'm going to still go and investigate it. I'm going to look for the facts, and I'm going to try to figure out why somebody's claiming something. Or what bullshit news source are they trying to claim as factual? And I'm going to try to debunk it. Mm-hmm. Right? And so here's what you guys can expect from us. Open, honest conversation, right? We're not going to bullshit you. We're not here just to take your time or waste your time. We want to share with you. And all we could ask in return is that you guys give us an honest chance, an honest ear, and engage with us. So Ryan, where could they find us at now?
So right now, we are on Facebook. Now we're actually talking about that, and we will have definitely a probably podcast just on that because Facebook has been very restrictive with people like ourselves who are right of center. If it doesn't jive with whatever message and agenda they have, they either restrict you or they straight up just say screw you and you're gone. You're banned. They'll delete posts, they delete people, they ban people, they shadow ban. And this has been well documented. This happens to many people, and they don't shy away from the fact that they do it. And we've dealt with this recently. I've been dealing with this for months, even years. But Mikey, now that with the podcast and stuff like that, he's starting to have his eyes open to that. But I'm going down a rabbit hole. But long story short, at the moment, you can find us on social media. You can find us on Facebook. Our Facebook page is called Right of Center, ROC, ROC, no K, ROC, Right of Center Podcast, ROC, ROC. You can find us on there, like and share our posts on there. That helps us get the word out. We are going to be talking about getting on other platforms, not talking about Instagram, not talking about Twitter and shit, because they're not much better. We're looking at other forms, including but not limited to MeWe and some other things. We got to see where our time is best placed. I know myself, I personally am on MeWe. You can find me on there and any platforms I'm on. Personally, it's Ryan R. Gass, but I've been on MeWe for about a month now, and I've just been dabbling with it. But my page has already gotten up to 400 likes on there, and people engaging with me on there and talking to me on there. I think that's got definitely strong potential, and we will be updating you all on that, and whether we join MeWe with our podcast, whether we're finding other platforms, because it's going to be different, than other podcasts have been in the past. When it comes to the things that we're talking about and the way that we're talking about them, and the viewpoint that we're bringing to it, it's going to pretty much nix us from being on a lot of different platforms, the mainstream ones at least.
Yeah, and one of the reasons behind that, Ryan, is this. I don't think your name's Joe Rogan, is it? Mine isn't. And people like Joe Rogan can get away with saying whatever the hell they want to say, and they're still going to get on because of the following that they have. And, here's the thing, guys. Joe Rogan and those kind of people, you could listen to their podcast, which is fine because I do as well. But come and talk to me when you got over $100 million. And then, and we'll see how relatable you are. And that's what Ryan and I are bringing to the table here. We're relatable. Right? This is a show for you. This is a show about you. This is a show that you can relate to. You could come to Southern Maryland, come to the ROC headquarters and shake our hands. There's no security here. No one's going to turn you away. We're going to have a phone number. You guys can call us directly. In fact, I look forward to taking your calls on air in the future. This is a show for you, by you. And this isn't, Ed Milet or Andrew Frisella with the Real AF podcast. This isn't the Joe Rogan Experience. This isn't your boy Logan Paul. This isn't any of that. This is Mike and Ryan from The ROC.
Yeah, and him saying that too, that's not taken away. He's not trying to take away from them podcasts, all of those people. Those are all great people, great podcasts. They put out great content. Mikey got me into podcasts when it came to listening. The first one being How I Built This by Guy Ferrez. I don't even know what the guy's name is, but it's Guy something. And he has a podcast, where he interviews different entrepreneurs, businesses you heard, some you haven't. But anyway, that's where I first got started listening to podcasts. He also got me on to Andy Frisella, the Real AF. And, I've since then started to kind of listen to Joe Rogan, all of them. Those are all great podcasts. We're not taking away from those at all. We're just wanting to bring something different to the table. How different can you be? I mean, how many podcasts are out there now? Literally millions.
I'll tell you, there's no podcast out there that has both of us as hosts.
Fuck no.
And that's what we're bringing, right? We're bringing this perspective. And some of the stuff that you guys can anticipate hearing from us this season are, we're going to talk about a lot of those touchy subjects. Some of that coming up very soon. In fact, maybe episode number 2 we'll be discussing the 15-hour minimum wage. During this crazy time that we're in, we're going to be talking about some COVID and some COVID-isms and some of the restrictions that we've felt and seen because of that. We'll be talking to all over. I mean, we're going to be talking all kinds of guests in studio here.
Vaccinations.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about how we could all anticipate Resident Evil kicking off. No, I'm kidding. We're going to be talking about again, some of the right of center stuff and try to align some of the political narrative and bring it back closer to home. So we'll be talking about the second impeachment of former President Donald Trump. We'll be talking about Second Amendment rights. We'll be talking about social media censoring and the freedom of speech and what that really means as a nation today. We'll be talking about national concealed carry and diesel trucks, right? I saw a meme recently where there was this Super Duty that pulled up next to a Tesla fueling station and had the electric, plug-in thing plugged into their exhaust pipe, right? And it's like, all right, so let's talk about the efficiencies of electric vehicles. Let's talk about the batteries. How many mines, open pit mines for lithium are out there? So we'll get into that too, right? We're going to talk about some hard chargers in the industry. We're going to talk about some guys that you should be following, such as we mentioned, Andrew Frisella and Ed Milet and David Goggins. We're going to be talking about some local stuff. So if you're from Southern Maryland, you'll be hearing a lot about some of the local politics, such as what Matt Morgan has to say and how some of the local businesses around here have been affected by the COVID shutdowns and what they're doing to rebound. Some things that are very close to me, we'll be talking about public education.
Defund it.
Well, maybe.
Defund it. That's what I say.
Maybe. And we'll get into that.
I cannot wait for that one.
Me either, brother. We'll be talking about illegal immigration. So a little background on me. I grew up in the southwestern portion of the United States from a little town in the middle of nowhere in southeastern Arizona. It's called Safford, Arizona. I grew up in Pima. It's right outside of Safford. So all my Safford guys, shout out to you. We'll be talking about, abortion. We're talking about, like I said, public schools, and not just that, but the indoctrination of our youth in this country. We'll be talking about the demasculinization of the American male and how the only people you can make fun of anymore are middle-class white guys. And I'll say something about a fat chick. Guarantee you, you're getting censored. Right?
God forbid if she's not white too.
Oh my God. But say all you want about a white guy, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Right. And so are we woke now, or are we still sleeping, brother? So we'll get into that too. So those are just some of the topics that you could expect out of us. Again, we will do our best to have a very active social media presence where we can, where we're not shut down. And we ask you to leave some comments and to share that and help us do some organic growth. We also ask you to leave some suggestions on what you want to talk about, because at the end of the day, the show's for you. I mean, Ryan and I are going to sit here and talk to each other. Doesn't matter if we get listeners. We're still talking to each other. This is what we do.
It's just a recorded conversation. That's all it is.
Yeah, this is we're just sitting at the coffee shop.
Yep.
So that's what you could expect from us. As Ryan mentioned, you can find him everywhere at Ryan R. Gass. You can find me on Facebook currently by searching at Mr. Mike Bell. That's Mr. Mike Bell. Or and through there you can find other ways to connect with me. Yeah, man. So I, Ryan, look forward to a really good season.
I am looking forward to it too. Seriously, I mean, you got me hooked on this shit. The other, what was it? It was the end of December, right? Was it before New Year's?
Yeah, it was the first. I think it was just before Christmas. We brought you on. We brought you on for an episode of my other podcast.
Yeah, because the first one aired on Christmas, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah,
the first one that you did with me.
Yes, sir. It was a Christmas present.
Yeah. So, he got me the bug when it came to these podcasts and stuff. I've been listening to podcasts and stuff. I never really thought about, being featured on one or helping host one. And he featured me on 2 episodes of his other podcast he has going on, the Pod So Hardcast.
That's right.
And then that kind of got me the bug and stuff. And I'm not sure who came up, who talked to who about it first and stuff. But it ended up, we brought the meeting of the minds together and decided to do a podcast together. And I'm definitely looking forward to this. It gives me outlets so that I can, get some shit off my chest, because I can't get it off on Facebook. I used to be able to vent and stuff and post on Facebook. I can't really do it nowadays. So it's been, it's going to be it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. As soon as we get done recording this, I think we're going to go ahead and record a couple more episodes, because I got a lot of shit to get off my chest. And
one more thing for you guys. So under the current COVID situation that we find ourselves in, it's really uncomfortable to cause a scene. And we're not trying to put anybody in any weird positions to cause a scene. So we're going to hold off on doing this. But in the future, when everything gets lifted, we're going to have some meetups and we're going to be doing some live shows. We have the ability to record remotely. So, if you want to get a listener party together, that's what we're going to do. We're going to start having some live shows. We will, this podcast isn't to monetize you as a listener. That's not going to happen. But we do have some brands that we strongly support. And at the end of the day, you know, as they say in the military, boots cost money. Yep. So we want to keep this thing going. There will be some affiliate links at some point that you guys can help just support the show by supporting the people who support us.
I'm working on one right now. It's with a coffee company. More details to come out once we have that all set up. But I've actually been drinking their coffee now for 2 years, and my firearm Shane company, we have our own coffee line with them, but it's good coffee. It's a veteran-owned and operated company. I met the owner myself firsthand. When I went down to Miami for a class in early December, on the way down, stopped, met with him, got our next shipment for the company, our company, from him, and he was down there by NAS Jax down in Florida. And anyway, you know, that's going to be the type of companies that we're seeking to be affiliates with and help support not only, you know, them, but in that way it allows you an opportunity to support them and our podcast, just so we can get this message out even more.
And just to put this out there, if you're listening to this and you have a brand that you want to help, that you want to utilize our audience to get your brand out there, we'll put you through the ringer first, because I'm not gonna promote anything I don't support.
Absolutely.
But reach out to us, we'll talk.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. If I don't drink it, if I don't use it, if I don't wear it, we're not putting it out there.
That's a fact, man. And at the end of the day, guys, we have your best interests at heart, and we look forward to the real life version of fact checkers. So we say some shit that's unagreeable on this episode or in this podcast series, you go ahead and let us know, because it's all about engaging with you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to call this episode The Rock a wrap. Ryan, you got any closing words?
No, like I said, if you all can, just find us on social media, Right of Center Podcast, ROC, ROC. That's going to be, right now, that's the only social media platform we have set up right now. The other ones we're working on trying to get through the red tape. And then I know myself, you can find me on any of our different social media platforms. As long as I'm still on there, I'll probably delete it soon. But any podcast, any social media that I'm on, my thing, how you can find me is Ryan R Gas, no spaces, RYAN, R as in Romeo, Gas with 2 S's, GASS. Find me on there. Message me if you got anything for me. You know, that's where you can find me. Yeah,
and one other thing we're trying to implement on this show is a hashtag, and that hashtag is going to be The Rock. That's the ROC. Anytime that you talk about us, anytime you're commenting on our threads, anything you see from us will be with that hashtag The Rock. And that's one way that we could just see that people are talking about us. So you'll see The Rock tweeted. You'll see The Rock on Facebook. You'll see The Rock on Instagram. You'll see The Rock all over the place. And that's how you know it's official.
Absolutely.
All right. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're out.